They say that life is like a confused teacher. First, she gives the test and then she teaches the lesson. I do want to reflect on something which I've noticed in the last few months as a coach in my own practice. Also, as I watch other coaches working and I watch the reaction of the players around me and those other coaches. One thing that I've seen is that young players, I'm talking about teenagers, I don't know, we're in an academy setting, so it's somewhat serious. And I went to an academy when I was 16, out of secondary school. I went to a basketball academy in Angmering. I'm pretty sure we're giving quite a lot more than any kids would have been offered when I was younger at this kind of level. So it's certainly a big ask to ask a 16, 17-year-old to adopt the level of seriousness that the academy almost demands if you want to do the thing that you're saying you want to do. So, there are many kids in our academy that want to play professional basketball, or they want to get a Division 1 scholarship, or they want to play for the national team. Some of them just say things like, I just want to play at the highest level possible or earn money playing basketball. But they're all pointing at the same thing, which is to have basketball as your job and being a player as well. But the level of dedication required, they have very little understanding of. And it's not even that they don't know how much work it takes. Like, of course, it takes a lot of work. I think everybody does actually understand that. I'm talking about most people that are reasonably intelligent and interested in really trying to do something with basketball or be successful. They get it that, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours. But it isn't really how many hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours. Definitely it is that. Like, you can lift weights 4 times a week, an hour and a half a time, lift heavy. But if you're distracted on your phone between sets, if you're talking to your mate the whole time and you're not really coming into the gym, connecting why you are lifting with what you're going to do in the future, and really owning that right now. Like, I am this professional athlete that takes care of their body, that allows their body to heal, and that comes into a place like the weight room, not to abuse the body, not to push it to its limits, but to enable it to do what I know it can do. Young kids don't understand that. Teenagers don't understand that. And first question, how do we help them to understand things like that? How do we do that? I'm not sure. But what I wanted to talk about today was this idea that we give the test and then we teach the lesson. So I think that one of the things that I have to do as a coach of these young men is I have to make things difficult for them at certain junctures. So I have to we have to have standards. Our group, and that's what I love about coaching the game, is that we are a team and we're on a unified mission to try to achieve something. And every single member of that team is also on an individual mission to try to achieve at least one thing themselves. So what we have to do is we have to collect all these individual desires and goals, and we have to unify them to a common goal. And at the same time, we're trying to teach, I and our staff are trying to teach these teenagers what it takes to help guide them to be successful and give them a chance of doing the thing that they said they wanted to do. And what I see many times is you have to raise the standard. You have to raise the standard of what is acceptable behavior in your group, whether that's on the court, in the practice, around the school, how you arrive at the sessions that we have, whether that's S&C or basketball or individuals or the games, how you conduct yourself. We have to raise those standards, and then we have to uphold them like parents. I do quite a lot of work myself around being a parent. And one of the messages I'm hearing a lot is calmly, gently, but firmly set and hold your boundary. As the adult in the room, my job is to hold the boundary, is to say that with the wisdom and experience that I have as an adult, here's something that I think will enable you to have a positive bedtime or day or week or month or life. Like, these are the kind of practices and routines that we're going to have as a family. And these are the kind of behaviors that we're not going to accept in our house, because they will not be accepted when you go out. And the punishment, not the punishment, but the boundary that's set in the house and the way that it is administered is a much, it's a smaller form of what will happen out in the world. So, in order to teach kids, you shouldn't really do that, and you shouldn't really do that. And when you do that, this is going to happen. You hold your boundary and you do it calmly, but firmly, gently, but consistently. And we also have to do that as coaches, right? We have to do that as coaches. We shouldn't be shouting. We shouldn't be yelling. We shouldn't be chastising for every missed shot and everything that goes wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that anymore. Stop that. If you're doing it, stop it. Yelling at kids for making mistakes in a game, especially in a game, is damaging their idea of themselves. It's damaging their enjoyment of the game, and it is damaging their development. You're not making them better. And I know that you know that. And as I speak to myself, right, I know that we know this, but we get so wrapped up in the game, and we get so wrapped up in this idea that, yeah, but I taught you that already, that we forget that we're still dealing with young people that are just trying their best. And so, like, I also read Buddhism quite a bit, and in Buddhism there is this idea of the perfection of patience, which essentially is the opposite of anger. But in the text, they do talk about using anger in a way that can hold people, again, hold the boundary. It's like you use anger consciously to hold the boundary. You don't lose control of yourself, because if you lose control of yourself, then you've misunderstood what's really going on here, and you are out of alignment. So if you're getting angry because you're just getting angry because you can't control what's going on, and you're losing the game, and the kids aren't doing what you asked them to do, then you're mistaken. But if you utilize anger consciously, it can be a quick wrap round the ears when the meditator is falling asleep, just to bring them back into the meditation. And really what I started this ramble on, what the idea that was in my head, was making things difficult for kids sometimes when you feel like they need it, but doing this in a very, again, with the idea of holding the boundary, doing it gently, doing it with love, doing it with compassion, but holding that boundary. So if you're not going to communicate about going on holiday or missing practice to go do something else, or be late or something like that, then you might end up off of our team, or not allowed to come to practice for a certain amount of time, something like that. And I'm having these experiences with guys, and then I'm saying, but what I want to do, right? What I want to be able to do is I need somebody else in our circle to understand what what's going on, and be in that person's ear and say, hey, you know what this is, right? You know this is a test. This is the test before the learning, right? And the test is, are you tough? Do you know what you want? Are you ready to be told you're not welcome here because your attitude stinks? And what you're doing is you're dragging energy out of us. You're taking energy from people when we need you to give energy to the team. Now, you've been kicked out of practice, or you've been kicked off the team, or you're not a part of what we're doing right now, or something like that. And as the head coach, I think most of the time, my role is to gently but firmly and consistently say, this is the standard, and you either meet it or you don't. And provide opportunities for that person to redeem themselves, but There needs to be another voice in the circle that goes, hey, if you got to keep knocking on the door. You have to keep knocking on the door. You have to keep asking. You have to be persistent. I know they've told you to go away. I know they've told you that this wasn't acceptable, and they might not even be correct. Maybe they misunderstood the situation, but this is how this goes. What you will learn on the other side of being consistent and persistent is that you can have what you want, but you do have to figure out what you want. You do have to figure out that you really want to be a part of this group, that you want to be able to help this group, but you can only help somebody else. You can only help others in the group when you help yourself. You can only give what you have. And if you are weak, if you do not have confidence, you cannot give it to other people. You cannot help your teammates if you do not have self-confidence, if you do not have access to bravery, if you do not have access to creativity. If I kick a kid off the team and I say, you're not welcome on this team right now because of X, Y, and Z, which is very clearly laid out, and then you do not try to come back in, you do not make an effort, you do not organize yourself, then you do not have anything to offer. And you should not be a part of a team, right? What we are trying to foster here are the very skills that you are saying that you want to be able to help other people with. Again, I don't have answers here. What I'm trying to figure out is within our academy setting where there's a lot going on, there's loads of stuff going on. My job is to hold the boundary, do that firmly, gently, calmly, consistently, but then also offer these other opportunities for those same people to get back in, but without doing it out of weakness and it being, it's not even about it being perceived as weakness by other people. It's about doing it in the right way, offering those opportunities, not by just coming to the person because they don't know what to do, but by finding a way of helping that person to see that what we need here. My friend Billy I'm trying to think of what he said. What did he say? It's polite, persistent, and something else. 3 P's in sales. What is it? Pertinent. It's pertinent. Polite, persistent, and pertinent. Be polite, keep going, be persistent, and be pertinent. Be to the point. What do you want? What are you trying to get out of this? Why do you want to be involved? What can you offer? Do that politely. Don't be rude about it, but be persistent. Do not give up and be to the point, man. Stop talking around the issue. Let's get to the meat of it and decide what we're going to do. And if you get rejected, guess what you got to do? You've got to be polite, you've got to be persistent, and you've got to be to the point, be pertinent. And then if you get rejected, you've got to be polite, you've got to be persistent, you've got to be pertinent. And that's playing the game as well. Be polite, be respectful to the officials, be respectful to the other team, but be persistent, keep going, and get to the point, man. If you got to drive it, if you got a post up, take it. If you get to the basket, finish it. If someone's open, hit them. If you're going to defend your man, do it. Stop doing other stuff and getting distracted, all right? Okay, so I don't know if I answered any questions that anybody else has here, but it helped me. It was very therapeutic, actually. Thank you for listening if you got all the way to the end.